there is no word for rape in our Sharia. It is called zina bil jabr. To prove a rape, victim has to bring 4 witnesses, which is only possible if she was raped publicly. How often does that happen in rape? A similar question is asked by Abdul Mannan from London, UK. Is it not illogical to ask a woman who is raped to bring 4 eyewitnesses to prove that she has been raped and to punish the rapist? The basic question posed by both the questioner is that isn't it illogical to ask the rapist or to ask the victim who has been raped to produce 4 witnesses to prove that she has been raped and to give punishment to the rapist? There is a misconception amongst the Muslim Ummah as well as most of the people that 4 witnesses is a requirement in cases of rape to prove that rape has taken place. This is a misconception. What they're getting mixed up is between the witnesses required when someone lays the allegation that someone has committed zina, that is adultery or fornication. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the glorious Quran, in Surah Nur, chapter number 24, verse number 4, if anyone lays a charge of zina, of adultery or fornication on a chaste woman, he should bring 4 witnesses. And if he cannot, then he will be flogged with 80 lashes. So this requirement of 4 witnesses is exclusively in cases of adultery. If someone lays the allegation that this woman or this man has committed adultery, then to prove his allegation, he has to get 4 eyewitnesses. That's a requirement. But this is not the case in rape. A rape is different than zina, than adultery or fornication. In zina, in adultery and fornication, it is done with the mutual consent of both the parties. Whereas in rape, the sexual intercourse is forced upon one of them, and mostly, it is a woman. For this, the fuqaha say, the verse in the Quran talking about punishment for such cases is in Surah Ma'idah, chapter number 5, verse number 33, which says, as to the punishment of those who wage a war against Allah and His Messenger, and who create mischief in the land, it is execution or crucifixion or chopping off of the opposite hands and limbs or exile. Now this verse of the glorious Quran, Surah Ma'idah, chapter number 5, verse number 33, is talking about punishment for those who wage a war against Allah and His Rasul or create mischief in the land. It is called as haraba. It is somewhat similar to terrorism, that when someone at gunpoint or with a weapon, he terrorizes someone. So the fuqaha said this also, this verse which says mischief in the land includes rape, which is a form of haraba, where the woman may be abducted, maybe with a weapon or without a weapon, or may be forced, and then zina takes place. As far as the punishment for a person who has committed rape, it is capital punishment if there is clear-cut evidence. And evidence in case of haraba, even 2 witnesses is sufficient. There is no requirement of 4 witnesses. But natural, even circumstantial witnesses is taken into account, and taking all the evidences, if the judge feels that undoubtedly 100% the person is a rapist, then he gets capital punishment. If not, then there are other options that can be given. If he is not 100% sure, then there can be a lenient punishment, that can be imprisonment, can be flogging, and various other things. But the option given in the Quran for such cases is anyone who wages a war against Allah and His Rasul or creates mischief in the land is execution, that is death penalty, or it is crucifixion. In some cases of rape, if the judge feels that the person should be set as an example, he can be crucified. There are 2 ways of crucifying. One can be that he is executed and is put on a pole so that the public can see the punishment given to him, and that will be like an example. Or he's put on the pole to die. The two ways. Or it can be chopping off of the opposite hands and limbs, opposite hands and limbs, maybe right hand and left leg, or left hand and right leg. Or it can be exile, or it can be imprisonment. There are various options. But if it's undoubtedly sure that the person has committed rape, then it is capital punishment. And as I mentioned earlier, that circumstantial evidences all are taken into consideration. 2 witnesses also sufficient. There is no requirement of 4 witnesses. As far as Imam Malik and Imam Shafi are concerned, they say that besides the punishment to the rapist, he should also compensate by giving a dowry or a mahr equivalent to what is given by his peers. Besides the punishment, there should also be financial compensation given to the victim. According to Imam Abu Hanifa, may Allah have mercy on them all, and according to Sufyan, they say that compensation is not required, punishment is sufficient. So these are different views, but in all cases, for rape, 4 witnesses is not a requirement, circumstantial evidence is also sufficient. And during the time of the Prophet, one case of rape did take place, and it is mentioned in Sunan at-Tirmidhi, volume number 3, hadith number 1454, that once a lady, when she is going for her prayers to the mosque, and this is also mentioned in the hadith of Abu Dawud and Ibn Majah, and it was dark, someone comes and rapes her, and she screams and she shouts, and the man after raping runs away. Then another man comes and she says that someone raped and he's gone that way. So that man runs after the person to find who is the rapist. Then the woman goes to another group of people and says that so and so happened to me and so happened, talking about the incidents of rape. And then the people gather and they go after the rapist, and they catch a man and they get him to her, and even the Prophet is there. And the woman says, yes, this is the man who raped me. And while the interrogation is taking place and the Prophet is about to give the punishment to that person who was caught, another man comes forward and says that I am the person who actually raped her. So the Prophet, he addresses to the first man and he speaks good words to him and asks him to go. He tells to the woman that go away, Allah has forgiven you. Because in the dark she could not recognize, and the first man who came, she said that he is the person who raped, not that a niyyah was wrong, not that she voluntarily did it or she did purposely, because it was dark, she could not recognize him, and she thought it the same person, and she told, yes, he raped me. So the Prophet tells her that Allah has forgiven you, and he asks her to go. And then the Prophet says that the man who actually raped, he should be stoned. Now here we come to know that the Prophet did not ask the woman to get 4 witnesses to prove that she was raped. Circumstantial evidence is sufficient. But before he could decide, the person who actually raped her, he volunteers and comes forward and he repents, and the Prophet said that his repentance has been accepted. So based on this we come to know that even at the time of the Prophet did not tell the woman that where is your 4 witnesses or where are your 4 witnesses to prove that you have been raped. So from this incident we come to know that 4 witness is not a compulsory thing to prove that rape has taken place. This is a misconception amongst many of the Muslims. Circumstantial evidence is sufficient, and if that is proven, the penalty is death, along with giving a financial compensation according to Imam Malik and Imam Shafi to the victim. But natural, there should be undoubtedly a clear-cut evidence that rape has taken place. Then only death penalty can be given. If not, then there are punishments which are lesser given to the victim if it's not 100% clear. Hope that answers the question.